You see a 24-year-old on your feed, standing in a doorway, holding a set of keys. Behind them, a house. You do the arithmetic in your head. You look at their job title. You look at what a place like that costs. You look at your own bank balance, and the math does not work. It cannot work. Nobody that age, on that salary, saves that fast. But here is the truth nobody posts underneath the photo. They did not save their way in. They built a machine. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the secret scaffolding that is letting 20-somethings with £30,000 jump the entire queue in 2026. Start with the first illusion. When you see £30,000 sitting in a first-time buyer's account, your instinct is that they saved £30,000. They did not. Most of them saved considerably less and then manufactured the rest. The tool is the lifetime ISA. Here is how the machine runs. You are allowed to pay in £4,000 each tax year. The moment that money lands, HMRC pays you a 25% bonus on top, a clean £1,000 for free every single year. Run that engine for 4 years on your own and the picture changes fast. You have contributed £16,000 of your own money. The government has quietly added £4,000. You are now standing on £20,000, and £4,000 of it was never yours to begin with. That is not saving, that is minting. Think of it like packing for the airport. Saving in an ordinary account is like packing a suitcase with sides made of lead. It never expands. It is heavy to carry. It costs you effort every month. And it is exactly the same size on the day you arrive as the day you bought it. The lifetime ISA is a different piece of luggage entirely. It is an expanding suitcase. Every time you drop 4 coins in, the government reaches over your shoulder and drops a 5th coin in beside them. You did nothing extra. You lifted nothing heavier. But by the time you reach the airport, the property market, your case is 25% larger than the person standing next to you in the queue, even though the two of you clocked the exact same hours at the exact same desk. Now, why is £30,000 the magic number, and why is it almost always a couple? For that, you need to understand the wall that stops the solo buyer dead. When a lender decides how much to hand you, they do not start with the house. They start with your income, and they multiply it. The standard ceiling is 4.5 times what you earn. So picture a single buyer on £30,000 a year. 4.5 times £30,000 is £135,000. That is the roof. It does not matter how disciplined they are or how spotless their credit is. At the standard multiple, £135,000 is roughly where the door closes. Now, in 2026, a handful of lenders will stretch further, 5, even 6 times income, for the very strongest first-time buyer cases. But those higher multiples are strictly rationed, wrapped in tighter stress tests, and they still do not carry a single £30,000 salary anywhere near a southeast price tag. For most solo buyers, the wall is real. Here is what a couple does to that wall. They do not climb it. They stack 2 engines side by side. 2 salaries feed the multiplier instead of 1. 2 separate lifetime ISA accounts run in parallel, each pulling its own £1,000 bonus every year. Put 2 people paying in together for just 3 years, and the numbers move like this: £8,000 a year going in, £24,000 of their own money across the 3 years, and a £6,000 bonus from HMRC sitting on top. £24,000 becomes £30,000, and £6,000 of that deposit is pure government top-up. That is the magic number. Not because £30,000 is a fortune, but because 2 incomes and 2 bonuses together punch clean through a wall that would have stopped either of them alone. But a deposit only matters relative to where you are standing, and this is where 20-somethings are making the move their parents never had to. Earning £30,000 in London is like trying to run a race in a room with 5% oxygen in the air. You are not losing. You are simply gasping. Every stride goes on rent, and there is nothing left in your lungs to save with. Now step out of that room and onto a mountain city like Leeds or Sheffield, where the air is thick and heavy. Suddenly, that same £30,000 is providing enough oxygen to fund an entire life, not just a rented bedroom. The numbers underneath the metaphor are stark. In parts of the Northwest in 2026, £30,000 is a 15% deposit, a genuine, comfortable chunk of the purchase. Carry that identical £30,000 down into the home counties, and it collapses into a 5% deposit on the very same slice of hope. Same money, same discipline, a completely different door, and there is a quiet sting waiting in the southeast that almost nobody mentions. Many of those homes sit above £600,000, while the lifetime ISA can only ever be spent on a property costing £450,000 or less. Cross that line, and the very tool that built your deposit refuses to let you use it. The machine that carried you to the door will not open it. So where are these young buyers being funneled instead? Increasingly, into shared ownership. On the surface, it looks like the clever hack. You buy a slice of the property, perhaps 25%, and your small deposit suddenly stretches. The keys are real. The front door is yours. But read the second line of the agreement, because this is where the excitement blinds people. You own a fraction, but you pay rent on the fraction you do not own. That is the secondary rent trap. Your mortgage covers your share. A landlord quietly collects on the rest. You can feel like an owner and still be a tenant in your own hallway. And when you come to sell, you often have to sell back through the same channel, on their terms, not the open markets. It is a door, but it is a door with a meter running behind it. Which brings us to the deposit itself, and the real cost of going in small. The government's mortgage guarantee scheme, now a permanent fixture, rebranded Freedom to Buy, lets you through the door with just a 5% deposit. That is the good news. Here is the invoice. A 5% deposit does not buy you the same interest rate as a 20% deposit. It buys you a penalty. Expect a rate roughly 1.5% higher than someone walking in with a 20% deposit on an 80% loan. Over the full life of a mortgage, that gap is not loose change. It is a quiet tax you pay every single month for the privilege of arriving early. Going in with 5% is a bet. You are wagering that future resilience. Rising wages, rising prices, time spent on the ladder outweighs the current cost of that higher rate. Sometimes it is the right bet, but it is a bet, and you should know you are placing it. And yet, here is the feeling the spreadsheets never capture. On any quiet morning, at the start of the financial month, when the standing order goes out and the mortgage is paid, something shifts. You are no longer handing your money to someone else's asset. For the first time, you are the majority stakeholder in your own life. The walls around you answer to you now. That quiet realization is the entire point of the exercise. So what is the actual play? It is counterintuitive, and it goes against everything you were told. The rule is deposit first. In your 20s, hitting the £4,000 lifetime ISA cap every year matters more than racing to clear your student loan. The student loan is patient. It is deducted gently. It does not chase you. And for most people, it quietly expires long before it is ever repaid in full. But the government bonus is a use it or lose it window. Every year, you fail to fill that £4,000 allowance is a £1,000 gift you can never claim back. Clearing debt feels responsible. Capturing the bonus is agile. In your 20s, agility wins. Because that is the secret underneath the photo. Home ownership in Britain in 2026 is not a prize handed to the luckiest or even to the hardest working. It is a prize for the most mathematically agile, the people who stopped trying to save their way over the wall and started using the exact rules the government wrote down. The 24-year-old in the doorway did not earn more than you. They read the manual. And true freedom is the moment you stop playing the game the way the bank quietly wants you to play it, and start playing it the way the rules actually allow. If you learned something, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. See you in the next one.